Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 destructive, yes, very destructive crawl space repairs that a lot of contractors do to your home that can be irreversible. Stay tuned. If you're new to Crawl Space Ninja, we talk about everything related to basements, attics, ductwork, and even indoor air quality. So we hope you'll subscribe to our channel, ring that notifications bell, and follow us on Facebook. Okay, so the first 2 that I want to talk to you about actually has to do with correcting sagging flooring or bouncing floors or things like that. One of the problems that we run into a lot with foundation companies, companies that focus on just foundation and maybe don't know how to encapsulate crawl spaces, is they'll go in and they will install jack posts, support jacks, or sister joists on top of wet, moldy wood. Many years ago, I actually went to a house and I knocked on the door, and we had just finished the crawl space in the house next to us. And the homeowner let me in, and I went down and took a look at the crawl space, and they had paid a pest control company to fix some floor supports. And what had happened was they take really good wood and put it against moldy wet wood. And when you do that, that moldy wet wood transfers over to the really good wood, and we had to cut out the entire floor system because we couldn't sister another joist up against all of that bad wood. So installing post jacks or sistering joists can be 2 irreversible repairs that a crawl space company does. Now, when it comes to a jack post or a post jack, what you can do is if the crawl space isn't dry and you install that jack post, right? So if it's dry and you install the jack post and then the crawl space gets wet because it's not controlling humidity, then what it can do is actually bow your floor. Or if it's wet and you install the jack post and then it dries out in the wintertime, the jack post can actually collapse because it's no longer supporting that wet wood that it was in the summer. So those are the first 2 destructive crawl space repairs that should be avoided. The third one that we see a lot is whenever a homeowner or a contractor goes in and paints the foundation wall, whether it's cinder block or whether it is concrete or brick or anything else, they're trying to stop that water intrusion, right? So they'll go and they'll get some kind of dry lock or something like that, and they'll paint the wall. Now, you know, dry lock and those kind of materials are not that effective at stopping moisture simply because it has to be applied a certain way and they're only rated for about 15 PSI, but that's not the problem. The problem is that once that dry lock fails or that painted waterproofer fails, it can actually start to grow mold. And then you've got a whole different scenario. You went from a moisture problem that couldn't grow mold, block and concrete typically can't grow mold, to you just gave the wet block and concrete a mold food source to grow on, and you can't take that dry lock off. We've tried soda blasting it off, we've tried doing different things. It's irreversible. The only thing you can do, you can grind it off. And I don't know if you've ever ground off paint off of concrete or cinder block. Not an easy thing to do. So make sure you don't let some contractor talk you into painting foundation walls to fix a water problem, because it can cause a huge mold problem. The fourth problem that we see a lot, and I'm going to put a link to this video down below. We did an inspection about a year ago where a contractor had gone in and they had painted all of the subfloor and the floor joists with paint, and they had used kills. Again, that is a problem if you don't dry out the wood and you don't get rid of the mold. Because if you just paint kills or any kind of paint over wet, moldy wood, it's going to punch through and it's going to cause wood rot problems. It's not going to fix the mold or anything like that. And again, that is an irreversible problem. It cannot be soda blasted off. It has to be ground off. And if you can imagine, you got 1,000 square foot of crawl space and you've got all these joists and subfloor nooks and crannies that you got to try to get into, you can't fix that kind of stuff. So don't let people talk you into painting paint or some kind of kills or even a mold killer paint over all that wood. You need to dry it out first, get rid of the mold, and then if you want to put a protectant on it like the X70, that would be acceptable. And the final thing that goes along with number 4 is spray foaming the subfloor when it's still wet and moldy. And we see this a lot in DIY and also real estate transactions. The seller will go and they'll hire somebody to get rid of the mold on the subfloor because it failed the home inspection or whatever. And then some contractor will go in there and they'll just spray foam all over that wood, sealing the mold and the moisture into the wood. Again, irreversible unless you're gonna grind it off. You know, if you're a DIYer and you wanna take 30, 40, 50 hours to grind all that off, that can happen. But you're not gonna pay a contractor like us to come in and grind off paint off of block walls, grind paint off of wood, or even remove spray foam off of wood. So those are our top 5 destructive, very, very destructive repairs that a lot of crawl space companies and even DIYers do. So make sure you avoid those. I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja. We hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.